said, oh, they forgot to take my badge. Maybe they're not kicking us out. Okay. Maybe they're not kicking us out fully because again, like my press credentials are still there. This is like a different level of access. Okay. And they literally right after I said, oh, well, they didn't take my, did you actually get kicked out or is it thumbnail bait? No, I mean, I didn't get fully kicked out. So here's the thing. Okay. There are different levels of credentials inside of the Democratic Party. That area that we were at is the lower level suites, right? That is that area that I was at when I was doing this interview with the New York Times was at the lower level suites. This is the same exact level that like CNN is on. It's the same exact level that like MSNBC is on. When you see like Jake Tapper and whatever, like sitting in front of that podium, in front of that stage, like they are literally, they're on the same level. They gave me the balcony on the same exact level, which is insane access. Okay. And at that point I was thinking like, honestly, like, I mean, those are like, yeah, those are $500,000. Like people pay $500,000 to get those suites. Okay. And the fact that I had the access to that level to like show you this background at all, I'm happy. Like I was going to take anything they were giving me, right? Anything and everything that they were giving me, I was taking. Yeah, Chris Cuomo said those suites cost millions of dollars. Someone at the DNC probably said, why the fuck are we giving this guy this great suite who's on us the entire time? Yeah, I know. So they didn't obviously like say off, you're done. We're revoking your access completely. You need to leave the premises. They didn't do that because that would have been a much larger, I think, that would have been a little silly for them to do. But they basically made it so that like, you know, they made it as impossible to stream for me as possible by coming in and saying randomly, you know, out of nowhere, coming in and informing me that I had to leave immediately. Like they were like, you have to clear out immediately. That's what they said. And I was like, what the like you saw it. I think it's on my last like YouTube getting kicked out of the DNC YouTube. Like you probably at gunpoint. There's no fighting back. If they say, when someone says you got to leave this area and like move to a different area, do you know how many secrets are permanently space? We're fine for now in this. We're not fine for now. We're like literally like we're permanently done here, bro. That's so whack. Yeah, Chad is going to understand those boxes are all owned by individuals, meaning they have the rights to any and all events held in the United Center. The box owner ultimately has final say who's in there and can kick out whoever they want. So, yeah, I did the Dr. Disrespect face gestures when my mic was muted. Okay. They also told you to stop stream. No, they didn't. Sounds like someone gave you that space without permission. No, dude, what are you talking about? You have no, just stop speculating. Okay. Stop speculating. I'm telling you exactly what happened. I don't know why you're like, it's not enough for me. I don't know why you're like, I know you know better than I do. You were literally there. You have access to so much more information on this process than I do. Stop speculating. I'm telling you exactly what happened. Okay. I'm telling you exactly what happened. I don't know why you guys are like trying to make up your own goddamn stories. Okay. This is what happened. That morning, I interviewed the uncommitted delegates. Okay. These are Democratic Party operatives themselves, people that have fought against Republicans in their own states, people that have positions within the Democratic Party. These aren't like, you know, anarchists. These aren't like the protesters outside. These are people who work within the confines of the Democratic Party. These are Democratic Party delegates. That's why there wasn't so many people outside in the protest, because they're not letting everybody in. They're obviously not letting anyone in, as a matter of fact. Okay. So like they had a Palestinian American, they had multiple Palestinian Americans that had speeches that were pre-vetted and pre-scripted as always, that would endorse Kamala Harris at the end of that speech, as a matter of fact. That was the you know, those were the conditions, right? And they had put these speakers, and the Democratic Party was not playing ball with them at all, which was kind of up. Not even kind of fucked. This is really fucked, because this is a very reasonable demand. It's a reasonable demand. It's a moral demand. It's a just demand. It's electorally positive for the Democrats to like show that they're a big tent that also features, you know, Palestinian voices as well. These are American voters, right? These are American Palestinian voters and their friends. These are Arab voters and Muslim voters in key states. Okay, so obviously, I find it ridiculous that they would not, you know, they just wouldn't do anything about that, right? Like they wouldn't let that happen. The UAW was pressuring, donors were pressuring the Democratic Party. Okay, a lot of pressure was happening for on the last day to have a Palestinian American speak. They had Border Patrol guys on. They had, you know, like anti-choice Republicans on. They had other Republicans on. They had a bunch of Republicans on. Like, it's crazy. They had an Israeli American family speak, whose son was being held hostage by Hamas as well, which is of course understandable. Like, those are families that are suffering. Their voices also must be heard. Okay, that makes sense. But to do that and to then turn around and not have any Palestinian Americans, it obviously shows that there's a double standard. Okay, and now you have like UAW and other unions also applying pressure as well. And I think they should apply more pressure, as a matter of fact, regardless of the fact that like Joe Biden was very pro labor union and, you know, walked the picket line. Like, it's great that he did that, but I think that there's no other way. There's no other way to get the Democratic Party to meet these demands. Pressure from all vectors need to happen in order to get the Democratic to move on this issue, to get the Kamala Harris campaign to move on this issue, right? So I said last night, the attitude from the Dems cannot be, or 2 nights ago, cannot be that these people are simply spoiling the fun. Their demands are moral, reasonable, and just. Forcing Israel to commit to a ceasefire through measures beyond tough talk will also be electorally beneficial to the Democratic Party. So it's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win, okay? It's a win-win-win. Everybody with eyes can understand it. Everybody with a brain can see what's going on. Unless you're completely in a bubble. Unless you're completely in a bubble, you look at the situation and you're like, why wouldn't these guys speak? What are you talking about, right? Do you think it was a space management issue, or was there a problem with you and your ideas? Because this sounds like a big and chaotic event. No, it was straight up about what I said and what I was doing there, okay? UAW posted this as well, which gave many others courage to also come out and speak. If we want the war to end, we can't put our heads in the sand or ignore the voice of the Palestinian Americans in the Democratic Party. If we want peace, if we want a real democracy, if we want to win this election, the Democratic Party must allow a Palestinian American speaker to be heard from the DNC station tonight. This is like this is literally the lowest hanging fruit, okay? Like, this is a gimme for the Democratic Party to even present themselves as though they are pro-Palestinian, as though they recognize the humanity of Palestinian Americans. Like, that's it, right? That's it. That's all they are doing. That's all they're doing at this point. That's all they're asking for. Families of the Israeli hostages joined the demand that Palestinians should not be barred from the DNC stage. Both groups demanding ceasefire and a deal to return the captives. Okay? Mehdi Hasan also then reported on other reporters being briefed that the DNC accepted the Dem state rep Ruva for Georgia, who is a Palestinian American Georgia state representative, who is, who had a speech that was ready to go. That they lied. The DNC lied and said basically, oh, it was actually the uncommitted movement that turned her down, which I think is ridiculous because obviously, what do you mean it's the uncommitted movement? They are the ones who put her, okay? It's a lie being told, I assume, by DNC spinners now on the defensive. Uncommitted are the ones who pitched her, and there's still time for the DNC to put Ruva for Georgia on stage tonight for 2 minutes. If they have time and space for a former Republican congressman and for Israeli members of a hostage, they have time and space for an elected Palestinian Democratic lawmaker. Anything else is straight up an erasure. The DNC is strenuously denying that they put out any such false claims. So whichever Dem is saying this, the report is about uncommitted, isn't even speaking on behalf of the party, it seems. But the bigger question is, why didn't the DNC accept Ruva for Georgia as a speaker tonight? Okay. To which I, of course, quote tweeted, why does the DNC have one speed? This is identical to how Israel does Hasbara Lamal. And I think literally right after I posted this tweet, like maybe 30 minutes after, is when I got booted. Rashida Tlaib also said, I know for a fact that the DNC did not act in good faith and continue to lie about the negotiations. They are exposing themselves. So yeah, I ate the boot right after that tweet. Okay. And remember, they came in, it was less than half an hour. Yeah, it was like, it was very close to after this tweet. I don't know the exact timestamp, but.
So we'd love for you to share that and talk to you a little.
But here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. I had a New York Times interview that was being conducted at the time when they were like, yeah, you got to clear the space, which I thought was pretty crazy. Okay. It was like 25 minutes after that tweet, but I still had a New York Times interview that was coming. Ken Benzinger, and you know, we still did the New York Times interview, and then they made me clear out my desk and clear out my underestimated Hasan's power. You were walking around openly declaring you had more consecutive viewers than the big news guys. I mean, I was memeing about that. Okay. Anyway, now I know because obviously there's like a ton of people involved in these decisions and like, you know, playing roles in this, but now I know that like there was, I had heard that there was like, already a little bit of a difference in opinion with the Kamala Harris campaign, who I believe wanted me there, versus the DNC, which did not think it was a great idea. Okay, there was a little bit of friction, a little bit of tension, and then obviously, like after that, the boss call was the reason that I got exited in a polite manner. It was not like you're out of here, get the f out of here, you're done. Okay, it was more so like, hey, you can't be in here anymore. There's a really important person coming in here and we have to clear out the space. Except we're not really clearing out the space. We're only getting you out of this space, right? And when I asked, like, is there another place that I can go to? I have these interviews lined up. I have the Ilhan Omar interview. I have the AOC interview. I have the Sean Fain interview. Like, I set all this stuff up with the full knowledge that you guys gave me, that like with the confidence that you gave me that I have this space where I can do these private interviews, like conduct these private interviews. They said, no, you don't have any other place that we can put you to. Okay. But anyway, do you think you'll be invited back to the next DNC? Probably. I think so. It was not very polite. They were pretty Kurt Law. I mean, they used the language of politeness, but these, yeah. Would you do the DNC coverage from the inside again if you knew in advance the uncommitted movement would not be allowed to speak? Yes, I would. What do you mean? Of course I would. And next time the DNC happens in 2028, I will still go. Like, I'll probably even have a better slot this time around as well. Also, they said AOC needed the space as their first excuse, not knowing you were the one interviewing her, which is crazy. Yeah, they lied about that. They were like, oh, AOC's coming into this space. I was like, no, she's not. I know she's not because I'm literally talking to her right now and she's stuck behind a motorcade. Yeah, that was also crazy. And then lastly, they were like, oh yeah, we can put you in the meme room that doesn't have even like Wi-Fi. And also simultaneously, not only did it not have Wi-Fi, but there was no Ethernet either. It wasn't just a space issue. And I know that they were like watching because they obviously stream sniped me because they forgot to take my badge for the lower level suites. And then I brought it up and I said, oh, they forgot to take my badge. Maybe they're not kicking us out. Okay. Maybe they're not kicking us out fully because again, like my press credentials are still there. This is like a different level of access. Okay. And they literally right after I said, oh, well, they didn't take my, lower level press credential from me, which means like maybe it is a space issue, right? Like maybe it is actually a legitimate space issue and like we'll be able to recover from here on out. It turns out, no. Okay.
No worries. Someone is definitely watching the stream because I literally said, oh, they didn't even take our credentials away. And then just showed up. Someone is watching the stream.
But just have to watch what you say, I guess, or they'll boot you out for being butthurt. Yeah. If that New York Times reporter was smart, he'd be covering the story, to be honest. I mean, potentially. Dude, I love Ken. He was cool. Yeah, he was dope. And you said on stream as a joke that you would use someone else's space, and said space owner came over rolling up his sleeves to make sure you weren't going to use their space. Wait, what? No, that's not. That was a different story. You're wrong about that. That's crooked media. They actually were willing to give me their space so I could conduct interviews. That was being handled on the back end. No, it wasn't. So it wasn't just that tweet. Okay. That tweet was like the straw that broke the camel's back, but it was my advocacy for having a Palestinian speak at the DNC consistently. It was me wearing a Palestinian flag around my waist, which they consider to be a big no-no, apparently. And also it was the fact that I talked to the uncommitted movement as well. Now, the reason why it was a little bit different for me, okay? The reason why it was a little bit different for me, if the DNC kicked out Hasan while he's being interviewed by the New York Times to 60,000 people, I have to take responsibility here. I was doing a hysterical Hasidic tunnel callback bit that necessitated burrowing into the actual United Center with dozens of Haredi tunneling experts. When accosted by the Secret Service, I kind of panicked and said Hasan was my boss. My bad. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It is crazy that they did that.
Of like literally only having Israeli victims and their family members be held into question while Palestinian and pro-Palestinian people are getting beaten out. Okay, like they're literally the delegates themselves that dare bring up the Palestinian.
Yeah, it didn't happen right after this. That's a lie, by the way. That's not correct.
Casualties get booed, they get humiliated, they get kicked aside. It is ridiculous. Okay.
Oh no, man, why would they tell for 4 days straight, but at that moment they decided to kick you out? I'm straw that broke the camel's back. If you knew you'd be kicked out, would you have been less contentious? No. Other people interviewed the uncommitted people as well. Yes. But the difference is they were press. They didn't have like the suite level access. Press doing it is different than a creator for Kamala doing it in front of 60,000 people and also in a suite that they gave him. Okay. They see that as like a big view. At least the DNC sees that as like a big view. Do you understand? Like there's obviously a difference between like where I'm doing it and how I'm doing it versus like how other people are doing it. Okay. Don't you feel like what they did was worse? They cut off your ability to do your coverage while pretending you were still welcome, honestly? No, I mean, look, my point is this, okay? My point is this. I was never going to like moderate my views or change my perspective because of the unimaginable amount of access I got. And I did get an unimaginable amount of access, okay? It's true. I mean, think about it, dude. There are literally professional journalists and press people and media outlets out there that are spending a ton of money that had to spend a ton of money to get that level of access that I was able to get. Okay. That's huge. So everything I was able to do within the DNC, within the confines of the DNC for the past 4 days, even with the like last day few, I don't care. I'm very happy about. Okay. I'm very happy about it because obviously I still was able to do all of this and I took all of it I never took it for granted. You know what I mean? I was able to do all of this and I considered it to be a bonus, right? Because I would be covering the DNC regardless, even if I was there and I was streaming from the hotel room or if I was here in Los Angeles streaming from my house, I'd be doing that anyway. So the fact that I was able to do it inside and also get this like level of unprecedented level of access on top of that was an added benefit. Do you see what I'm saying? The way I look at it is like, I'm happy for everything that I got because I never thought that I would get any of this anyway, which is precisely the reason why I think a lot of people were like, how the f did they let you in here? Like, why are they doing this? And I wanted to do it justice. Okay. I wanted to do it justice. I wanted to do the level of access that I got as much justice as possible. I wanted to show as many people as possible in my community that you know, this is how it works. This is the background. Like, this is what a convention is, right? Like I showed you every aspect of it, from the protests outside to the protests inside to the regular process. I interviewed politicians. I talked to them. Ultimately, I think I made the most of it. I think I made the most of it, and I find it to be like I found this to be a very, very fortunate situation. I was very lucky to be able to get all of this. I think they thought they could use you and live up your audience by giving you so much accommodation. Like, look, we have progressives too. Even that guy that said Americans are 9/11. Yeah, they don't care about that part. I feel like you made a big connections. Not necessarily. I mean, all the people that I was talking to already, I had access to already. I just like kind of used them because I was right there. But Anyway, safety vest DNC guy was watching stream and tried to jump in to stop the bad press. Yeah. Seeing it kicked out for what we all assume was support for Palestine just my spirit. I thought that we would get a voice in the DNC and we all got shut down. I'm back to not wanting to vote again. Look, I'm not gonna fault you for that. Okay. But overall, I think, and this is going to now get to my commentary portion, right? We're gonna start talking about you know, we're going to be talking about the Kamala Harris speech and all this stuff, but I haven't watched stream in a long time. I catch up a little with what's going on with you and Ix. When I saw you were going to the DNC, I was hoping you wouldn't be simping for the Dems, so I'm super happy you haven't changed when you stand and speaking out against oppression. Yeah, of course. But it is, you know, it is what it is. I'm overall very, very happy with everything. Okay. You said next time you let press credentials. Can you explain what difference it would make? I would have like a dog area, if lucky, if I even get an area at all, to be able to stream from the pit. Like I'll probably be like near TYT in the press pit, because like all of those other major outlets, like they pay for those rooms, and I'm not trying to drop $500,000 on the Democratic National the DNC, the National Convention, to be able to get like that level of access. So I can't get over what it must have looked like to the journo who was previously unfamiliar with you, seeing you kicked out while so many fans in the DNC are thanking you for your work and how much you mean to them. Yeah. Overall, I think that it was a wild thing that they did, especially when I was like being interviewed by the New York Times in front of 60,000 people. I don't know why they did it like that. I think it's not like that serious, that significant in the grand scheme of things. Like, I don't know if that'll like be a bigger news story or anything like that. But regardless of that, regardless of their actions, I still am very happy. I'm still very happy with like what I was able to do. And that's it. I hope that it was entertaining, and I hope that, not only was it entertaining, but also informative. And I hope you guys got a better understanding of, you know, what was going on internally over there. But yeah, I was mauling last night with the Kamala Harris speech. But here's a funny moment where, you know, I was having fun with the New York Times guy.
I got a friend who's a nicotine gum addict. I'm wondering if I should push her on Zyn.
I am too, but then she's gonna be a Zyn addict. She's gonna be a Zinfidel.
Isn't
Osama Bin Laden?
I feel like I got a friend who's
I have it on good authority. Okay, dude. Emphasis on convention. This was sick, man. This is undefeated. Okay, this is literally undefeated. What is this? Canute mentioned you. Kalat calling Hasan and saying Keg W. It was not only the best week of content ever, it was so rejuvenating to see you go into Liberal Alliance Den and be treated like the biggest celebrity there. Such a good sign for the left's future, in my opinion. I don't know if it's a good sign of the left's future. The lady that came to make sure you were leaving that we're asking about another space also said it would be best if you went back to your hotel to continue the stream. When you said that that would be your next step, they definitely just wanted you gone and were trying to do it with grace because you were live to so many people. I mean, I don't know if she was trying to do that. I think it was just more so like they were all fine. They were great. You know, I'm not annoyed with them at all. Nothing will ever top you sitting down with Rokana and immediately talking about sometimes leaving your mic on while you're pissing. You literally said pissing to Rokana. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I was excited when you mentioned going to the DNC and it felt like a place to get a view. Love the insight. Yeah. They kicked you out for the Zinfidel comments. No, dude, they kicked me out because I served too many 3-minute ad breaks at the top of the hour, and I did that so gracefully. I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked at how many people were fans inside of the Democratic Party. Maybe not the delegates, and maybe not the people that are working, maybe not the people that are like volunteers. That makes sense, but it was genuinely shocking how many like I had like council members and like that from all around the country coming up and being like, yo, I'm a huge fan. It was like, damn, that's crazy. You know, that's wild. Have you tried the citrus flavors in? Yeah, it sucks. Hasan is interviewing Cori Bush right now. Yeah, she said she was a fan of mine, which was crazy to hear from someone who I respect so much. But yeah, I think this strip showed that the MJ glazing is alive and strong, and you loving LeBron was going against that love. Yeah, I think that's why I got kicked out, honestly, because I just spoke truth to power about how LeBron is the real GOAT. Anything you do differently? No, not even. Like, I think we maxed out, okay? We maxed out. We did everything right. We did everything. I don't think there was a single aspect of this that I would change. Like, we took every right step. I guess maybe mute my microphone when I'm pissing in the bathroom.
A big theme here at the DNC is that they're going to go after corporate gouging, and they're going to go after corporations, whether it's in taxes, largesse, loopholes. The RNC, we heard the same thing. They're going after the elites, the two sets of rules. Let me reveal a reality to you that has to be spoken to here, okay? These are the soldiers. These are the men and the women that go back to their constituencies and their communities, and they fight. They take time from their jobs. They take time from their families. Republicans and Democrats alike, that's what they do. They need to charge these people up. They need to be able to get them on board. But there's another reality that is literally looking down on them. Greg, look at the ring of sweets, okay? This is not unique to Democrats. There is a game of money. When people talk about uniparty, we are strangled by the money reality in our politics. Those suites start at 500 grand. You think there's like a teacher group up in there? You think it's like the Cub Scouts of Columbia County, South Carolina, that's up in those boxes? Some of them are lobbies and good things. The media boxes, you think they're free? Why do you think I'm on the floor? News Nation is not a broke company. Nexstar is a massive organization. We are corporate media. We don't have one of those boxes because that's the game. You pay to play. Those boxes are filled with the same people that they say they're going to regulate. They are literally looking down on the faithful and being told, yeah, we're going to break down on them. We're going to make them pay their share. They paid $500, $700, $1 million, $1.5 million to have those seats. They get hotel suites that are probably gifted to the party. And the same thing is true at the Republican side. And they're going to take them down. They're going to change how it is. They are looking down from on high at the people who make the difference in their communities. And that is the reality of politics. And I had my producer walk around and show you those suites. Now, they're not all the same. They're not all the same. But the reality is, in 2000, they spent $300 million on presidential campaigns. 24 years later, you know what they're expected to spend? $10 billion. Do you know how much money Harris has raised in the last couple of weeks? Hundreds of millions, and that's success. A lot of it's small donor, a lot of it isn't. The most dangerous money in politics is now legal money because of Citizens United. You've got to know this. The idea that they can fight against it is almost laughable. It's almost laughable. So look and listen when you are told these things. Because I don't care what they promise you. Not here tonight, not at the RNC, not that Trump knows them, not that they don't own them. He did one of the biggest fundraisers I've ever heard of in my life out where I live. Millions of dollars a plate. That's the reality of politics.
I don't know what the f happened to this man, but like, it's crazy. What are the odds of you getting Cuomo on the show? Bro, are you kidding me? His producer doesn't stop texting me all the time. I have been ducking his show non-stop. I maybe have him on my show, though, potentially. Playlist for later. I don't know if you saw. Yeah, RFK, by the way, coming out swinging. I did not get the playlist. No, thank you, Themasius, for the playlist. RFK will end his independent presidential bid and endorse Donald Trump. We already knew that it was going to happen, and it's happening. It's not shocking. Obviously, Zim pouches and the Mountain Dew sent me to the hospital with heart palpitations. Scariest day of my life. I cold turkey both that day on God. For real, no cap. Hi, chat. You're looking cute. You said it changed your view of how that world is different. Oh, yeah. So what I was going to say is, like, being at the DNC, realize why. Being at the DNC made me realize why, you know, the Democrats are like so out of touch with the desires of like the average person. Okay, like it totally made me understand like why the DC bubble works. Okay, how the DC bubble works in the way that it does. It made me understand why like these guys have no clue. Okay, they have no clue. They have no clue what like real human beings and what their desires look like. I would say that they're like almost allergic to it. Couple things that really frustrated me. Really frustrated me in terms of like what I saw was the attitude inside of those halls. The attitude inside of those halls was elated. It was ecstatic. They were, in my opinion, doing touchdown dances when the game wasn't over yet, and they weren't even winning, because the Democrats are not winning right now. This is something that we need to remember. Okay, like liberals off of just vibes alone, because of the fact that it is no longer Joe Biden, but instead a much younger, more dynamic candidate. Off of those vibes alone, they think they're going to Brat Summer their way into an electoral W. They will not. And I think Kamala Harris herself is smarter than this because of what she has communicated thus far. Okay. I think Kamala Harris herself has said time and time again, like, you know, don't take anything for granted. We're not winning yet. Okay. Is your opinion that the Harris administration took a heel turn last night regarding Gaza, or was it the wall's momentum and hope that we just kind of gaslit ourselves? Is it a change to our previously more empathetic stance, or are we just now seeing Biden fascism that's always been there? I'm going to get to all of that. I'm going to get to all of that in a second. Okay. I need you to understand. I'm still talking about the vibes here. In terms of that, like, I think that they are, like, I think that the Democratic Party, people that are in positions of power within the Democratic Party are too confident. They should not be confident. If they want to win against Donald Trump, they should not be they should not be acting like they won the race already. Okay? That's number one. Number two, the Democratic Party went back to its old ways last night and throughout this entire week. Like, people have asked me over the course of this past month, over and over again, wow, now that Kamala Harris is the president, will you endorse her? And I kept saying, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. They kept saying, like, do you think this is different? Do you think that, like, it spells a difference in the Democratic Party, right? In terms of their attitude, in terms of how they're campaigning. And I kept saying, it seems like it, but we will wait and see. Now, part of the reason why I kept saying that is because I haven't seen anything yet. I have not seen anything from Kamala Harris's team so far, with some exceptions. You know, price caps, great. Okay. You know me. I'll be the most critical person on the planet. I'll always do adversarial commentary, but when it comes down to it, if any campaign really is doing something good, I will openly recognize it, okay? But last night's speech for Kamala Harris was very consequential. Why? Why was last night's speech in this DNC, why was it so consequential? Because Kamala Harris is a empty shell for the most part in terms of her political acumen, in terms of her ideology, in terms of her positions. That is just the reality. She was a senator for a short period of time from California under the Trump administration. In that circumstance, in that situation, of course, she came across very progressive with her legislative decision making. When she ran for president, she ran on the Medicare for All ticket in 2019 in the primaries. She got destroyed, but it doesn't matter. Like, the fact that she thought that that was a successful way to brand herself for the presidency was good. Okay. That made me think perhaps she might be actually a little bit more progressive than the average Democrat. Considering that she's gone back on a lot of that stuff, now that she is in power, makes me feel like she never was obviously interested in this at all, right? In progressive legislation at all. So I think, and the fact that there's still no policy page, by the way, I'm becoming like one of these Republicans, but like, they're right. Still no policy page, still no interviews at this point. It's crazy. You have to endorse her. The stakes are too high. Many progressives aren't going to vote because of you. The stakes, like the sizzled steaks. If I have this level of motion and this level of clout that I could actually dramatically alter the trajectory of a political campaign, then they should listen to my voice. Okay? Then they should listen to me. Okay? What you say makes no sense. I am not in these calculations. Because why the f would I be in these calculations? I have an international audience. Okay? You're ridiculous. If you think I have that level of motion, then it would be an unimaginable mistake for the Democrats not to listen to me. Because all I'm saying, all I keep reiterating over and over again is that these people should not take your votes for granted. It is the foundational principle of democracy, the democratic process. Okay? This isn't team sports. They should earn your vote. Me saying that is unacceptable for so many people for some weird reason. Well, the weird reason is that they don't care about the democracy either. They just want their own team to win over the other team. They're invested. They don't even know why, but they're invested nonetheless. Most USA Dems are center right, so yeah, they're doing what their constituents actually want. No, this is a silly notion. It's not correct. It's objectively not correct. Okay, Ryan Grimm, it's worth just mentioning that Kamala here.
She's on the brink of the presidency without ever having really won like any competitive elections. Like she was a machine politician. I wish Dan was here because he knows the California politics better. You're a little closer to California, so maybe.
And your name is David.
She had the last really competitive election she had must have been
AG.
The AG primary.
Right.
Yeah, the AG primary where she had the support of the entire Bay Area machine.
Yeah.
So she had the advantage there. When she ran for Senate, it was against Linda Sanchez's sister.
Yeah.
It was just a totally hapless candidate.
Yep.
Whose seat was she? Barbara Boxer?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Who? Linda Sanchez?
No.
No.
Whose seat was Kamala?
I think it was Barbara.
It was Boxer.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
She replaced.
Right, Boxer. So she didn't. There was no Republican.
Right.
No serious Republican running, and she beat a hapless Democrat, and then she runs for president, and just gets absolutely wasted, and drops out in 2019 before any votes are cast, and then she gets picked as vice president.
Yeah.
And now here she is.
She's going to wait until after the debate to post policy because posting the policy would become a blueprint of attacks Trump could use against her on the debate. This whole campaign has been strategically planned. That is ridiculous. If she posts policy in September, like 2 months out from 1 month out from election, that is insane. Okay, this is a truncated speech and a truncated campaign. Okay, for understandable reasons, because it is a swap out that happened only a month ago. But at this point, like, we should have a better understanding of what she represents. And last night was important for that reason. Okay. The DNC this week was important for that reason. The DNC and the campaign might be at odds at times, but you know, they are a collective unit. Together, they represent the Democratic Party. And what you need to understand is what they communicated last night was very important. What they communicated last night was, for me at least, September is like 10 days away. Lol, you're saying like it's a month from now. September is like 10 days away. It doesn't matter, bro. The DNC happened. They need to start telling people what they're, they need to start communicating to all of the people in that room, like what they're going to be advocating for. What are you talking about? Do you know anything about campaigning? What is happening? You have to knock on doors. When you knock on doors, what do you want to tell the people that you knock on doors on? You knock on a door and then you just go, Brad Summer. Yeah, I'm going to go to like rural neighborhoods in Georgia. Okay. Or North Carolina. I'm going to go to the suburbs in North Carolina, knock on a door. Right. And they're going to be like, hello, what's going on? What the fuck are you doing here? You're like, oh, I'm here with the Kamala Harris campaign. And I was wondering if you could spare a moment of your time so we could have a conversation about potentially voting for Harrison Walz in the upcoming election. And they're like, okay, well, I'm afraid I have no talking points for you, sir, even though normally under regular canvassing campaigns, regular door knocking campaigns, like they'd give us talking points that we could disseminate. We, however, don't have that because the Kamala Harris campaign has not actually given us the talking points at all. We have no idea what her policy positions are, but you should vote for her regardless. Here's a Brad Summer sticker. Boom, slap it in the face. Is that what you think is going on? Is that how you think that happens? Twitch chat thinks its opinion is the popular one and you're the only one that matters, lol. Like, Democrats run so scared all the time, and they have this like they have this attitude forever that causes them to just have poor political instincts and oftentimes straight up disagree with like good things, that normal basic things that campaigns are supposed to do. Okay, there is no defense for not revealing the policy positions of the Kamala Harris campaign at this point. Do you understand? Like, there is no, because the policies are very important. At the end of the day, that is how you make an argument as to why people should vote for you. That's how you get undecided voters and those who have previously, if you have time and if you have bandwidth, if you have money, if you want to have a more expansive door knocking operation, you then go out to people who are not voting and try to get them on board as well. And when you do that, you have to tell them why they should vote for you. If you don't have that, if you don't have those policies ready to go, how are you going to do door knocking? I don't understand why people are fighting Hasan on Harris needing a policy page is the bare freaking minimum, because these people are the same, exhibiting the same exact energy that the Biden dead enders were exhibiting, which is obviously running scared and trying to engage in post hoc rationalizations for why the campaign is doing certain things that normal campaigns would never do. Okay, that's it, because they want they are demonstrating unconditional loyalty and support to the Democratic Party. They are obviously scared of the Republican Party, understandably scared of the Republican Party, and that fear causes them to think manner where they just like ultimately try to run defense anywhere and everywhere when certain things might be indefensible, like Biden staying in the race was indefensible. And yet so many people, great meeting at a convention, why'd they kick you out? Send me your t-shirt size and an address. The speech was ass.
positioning her as post 2012 reelect Obama, also as if Trump is incumbent and she's challenging him. Yeah, it was really, I didn't like the speech at all. We're going to get to that in a second. I'm just like gearing up for what my criticisms were on the speech. Okay. The literature we hand out at the campaign when door knocking is literally just a picture of Kamala and a QR code. It's wild. Would you say that the Democrats are running a good anti-Trump campaign, but a poor pro-Harris campaign, or just bad all around? Bad all around. Okay. They're not even running a good anti-Trump campaign right now. Last night's speech was so heavy on Trump personal attacks and very, very light on Trump policies that are damaging and devastating. January 6th, you got to make a mention of that, right? He's a sore loser. You got to make a mention of that. I understand. But overall, like, the best part of the speech was when Kamala talked about her own personal background. Okay. She revealed a lot of stuff about her personal life and her personal development that she had never talked about, including Donald Harris, her father, who she's been estranged from since she was 6, right? That was unique. Talking about how she was at the park and her dad said, run. And her mom said, don't move away from us. Like, stick around, be around us. And her dad said, run as far as you can. You know, that juxtaposition. All that stuff is good. The fact that she, the fact that like she had a personal connection to why she became a prosecutor, I think like she did a really good job of explaining how she became a prosecutor in like the most like progressive way you can mention that, right? Even though it's inherently not a very progressive position. Talking about how one of her friends in high school was being sexually assaulted and abused by her stepfather, and that was what like geared her towards being a prosecutor. All that stuff was great. Having said that, however, everything after that intro was just like damn near identical to the Biden script. Like, it almost felt like she was just reading out the Biden script that was written for her. Is now the time to be going up against Kamala? Brother, I'm a political commentator. Okay. I am not a party booster. I am not a Democratic Party operative. Okay, we're back. I don't know what happened. No, I don't know what happened. No, it was on my end. It wasn't Twitch. I had a mini drop off. It was fine though. I mean, it's good now. I hope. I think. So anyways, I was saying I'm not a party operative. Okay. My job here is to tell you what I think the Democratic Party should do. And I will tell you what I think the Democratic Party should do from good policy positions and good politics positions as well. Okay. And if the Democratic Party does things, or the Kamala Harris campaign does things that I think are bad, I'm going to tell you that. Why would I not do that? Okay. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh man, I really don't want to criticize Kamala Harris because like the calculation didn't change from Biden to Kamala Harris. Why the fuck was I criticizing Biden? It was still Biden running up against Donald Trump. Like, think about that. What changed? If all the other worst aspects of the Biden re-election campaign and Biden administration has not changed, okay? Like, I listened to Pod Save America this morning, and the funniest part was when they said, when people get into focus groups asking about Kamala Harris, often they want to know about her policies. What will she do for me? People more or less want a white paper of what she plans to do. Instead, the speechwriter smartly ignored this and just focused on Kamala's personal values. I don't think that's smart. I think that's actually not smart. I think that's very bad, because it's bad instincts in general, especially because Kamala Harris, I'm sorry, is not charismatic like Barack Obama is, to be able to keep that afloat purely on vibes alone. Okay. I don't think you guys get that. I don't think a lot of people understand that. It's only smart if our policies are bad, which is to be determined right now. Like, it makes, I don't know. It's so crazy. The Democrats are running on vibes and feelings, no policies yet. More fuel for the Republicans. I mean, not necessarily. How likely is she to advocate for Medicare for all? She will not. Don't be crazy now. What an RNC, huh? Captain, those were the Dems. 10-10. Their starting point on negotiations regarding immigration is the right-wing border bill. In the next Congress, that bill will be even more right-wing if they lose the Senate. Yeah, it's genuinely devastating. And it is genuinely scary seeing what is unfolding right now. Anyway, on that note, let's get to Kamala Harris's speech and the way that mainstream media is presenting it or viewing it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it as well. I already started talking about some of the things that I liked that she talked about, like her own background and stuff. Like, that stuff was good. And then a lot that I did not like.
Kamala Harris becoming the first black woman and the first Asian American to accept the nomination
of a major party.
Take a look at this photo. That is Harris's great niece, Amara, watching her auntie take the stage, bearing witness to this history-making moment.
What an image that is. Harris pointed to the future, saying America can chart a new way forward. She called Donald Trump an unserious man posing a serious threat to America and the world, capping off a convention week the Democrats could not have imagined just a few weeks ago. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce starts us off from the convention floor. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, Kamala Harris told the crowd here that she is no stranger to unlikely journeys, and last night she shared hers with the nation, reintroducing herself to voters, taking shots at Donald Trump, making her case, and yes, making history too. Overnight, Kamala Harris stepping onto the convention stage and into history.
On behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
The first black woman and first Asian American to accept the nomination of a major party, sharing her American story. The daughter of immigrants, her worldview shaped by the strength of her mother.
She taught us to never
Like, the dynamic is really good because America is comprised of immigrants, okay? America is a nation of immigrants. So that dynamic on the aesthetic front is perfect. You have, on the one hand, a middle-class immigrant family, the daughter to a middle-class immigrant family of academics, right? Obviously, you know, as a black woman, taking advantage of like what a person like this from a background like this can do to get to the highest office. On the other hand, you have Tim Walz, a white guy, like just a perfect white dude, all right, straight up from the middle of America, from the heartland, who was a teacher and has a very progressive background. Like, it is a perfect ticket on that front, on the aesthetic front. The only thing that we don't have in this ticket is policies and a genuine commitment to progressive economic policies and a willingness to fight for said progressive economic policies. Okay? If they had that, and if they demonstrated that tonight and throughout this DNC, I would have a very different attitude. I would have a very different attitude right now. Right now, this race seemingly is still very close. I think a lot of Democrats are you know, they consider this a done deal. Having said that, this race is currently only close and not and not one that Trump is like very clearly winning because of the Trump campaign's failures, because of Trump's failures, because of the Republican Party's failures, their hyper focus on weird culture war issues, their lack of interest in like offering people anything other than resentment and anger and frustration. Those are the reasons as to why the Kamala Harris, the Harris-Walz ticket is performing better, seemingly better, and has momentum behind it against the Trump-Vance ticket, okay? It is shocking, okay? She did roll out progressive economic policies last week. She even defended them from a non-deficit hog borderline MMT perspective, which is highly progressive. I know. I'm aware. I talked about that, except for this one, by the way, okay? Except for the housing policy, which is deregulation. I don't know what that is going to look like, and I don't really like it, but that's why I need to see the fucking policy papers.
Kamala cast the tie-breaking votes.
So we'll look at the fucking Trump side of the equation in a minute after I'm done with this. Okay. I told my coworker the same thing. I feel like Kamala isn't winning, Trump is losing. He laughed and called me a cynic. It's true. Anyone that tells you that that's not the case is delusional. Okay. Like there isn't much that is fundamentally different than the Joe Biden campaign versus the Kamala campaign so far in terms of like what they've shown us, whether it be the Israel policy, whether it be like jingoistic sentiment in terms of like having a muscular military, right? Whether it be even talking about fucking NATO. Biden also has some pretty solid, dare I say, progressive economic policies anyway that he talked about. So on that front, they're also pretty closely aligned, which is a good thing, right? But it's supposed to be a focus on that and a willingness to fight on those boundaries. What you need to put forward in that situation is exactly that, not fucking vibes. Okay. I think overall, my fears early on when this swap out happened are now coming to unfold. I was worried that they would just simply see the momentum of the Biden-Harris swap out and the Waltz choice and just go, this is going to carry us across the finish line. We don't have to do anything else. And then the attacks would start coming, calling them radicals. If you recall, I said all of this. Republicans are going to start calling them radicals, communists, crazy. And on that point, in that situation, they had two options. Either say, we're not radical. These positions are popular. These policies are popular. There's nothing radical about feeding children. There's nothing radical about, child tax credits. There's nothing radical about whatever, litany of progressive policies that they might have. Okay. And that you guys are the radical ones for being fucking weirdos that only care about like culture war shit and not actually putting food on people's tables. Okay. Or they would do the old school Democrat thing. Almost word for word said, if they do what they're doing right now, they're dead in the water. Yes. Not dead in the water necessarily, because again, the Trump side of the equation is too devastating. Okay. You need to remember that. Like, Trump is just so bad. They're doing a horrible job. He's maxed out on his name recognition. He's flailing around like a madman. Like their campaign is underwater. It's sinking. It's hemorrhaging funds to Trump's legal battles. Like the Democrats are running on easy mode. So it's not done yet. But the problem is it should not be close. Just like I said with Biden, it should not be close. It should not be a close race at all. With Kamala Harris, that still remains. Okay. And yet it is. Now, there was momentum, but I think this will ultimately soften that momentum. I thought that this would be a first-time Obama-style campaign. They would activate those same demographics. They would go out and run the table. Young voters, Hispanic voters, black voters, okay? And they would be able to even pick up some of the non-college educated voters back with a campaign of hope and change, similar to Barack Obama, right? Even though Kamala Harris obviously is not nearly as charismatic as Barack Obama, the policies would speak for themselves. What you would do for people would speak for itself, okay? But they didn't do that, and now they are, in my opinion, running scared again. This, and I talked to so many normies after the speech because I wanted to hear what they had to say, like Democratic Party, high information voters that like vote for the Democrats. And they kept reiterating, well, this speech wasn't for you, Hasan. It was for the moderates. It was for some mythical person, right? Some other guy, not for me, but some other guy. Okay. And that's the same thing that a lot of liberals in this community reiterated as well in the chat over and over again. Guys, this speech is not for us. It's for some other guy. It's not for us. It's for some other guy. The fuck are you talking about? Of course it's for you. You're the voter. What are we talking about? This is a ridiculous calculation. It's copium. When you say things like running scared and Democrats are cowards, can you explain what you mean? I've been here since the 2020 election and I'm still not 100% clear on what you mean there. Easy. Running scared and Democrats are cowards is Democrats let Republicans run the conversation. Okay? Republicans don't campaign every 4 years like the Democrats do. They campaign every single day. They change the narrative. They change the discourse on a regular basis. They know that their policies ultimately are very unpopular, oftentimes violent, maybe even abhorrent and gross in terms of the immigration agenda, for example. Trump is running on mass deportations of migrants. Mass deportations of migrants. In order for that to stick, he's also running on lies about migrants. Migrants being responsible for hundreds of thousands of murders, for example, something that Trump says all the time. This is an abject lie. It's completely made up. It's pure hysteria. Democrats do not counter message against that and have not counter message against that for the past 4 fucking years. And obviously, when there's no counter narrative that brings people back to the fucking truth, to the middle, to the center, or even, dare I say, the left, obviously, people are going to start believing that. If only one side is chirping about migrants being rapists and drug dealers and shit, okay, and the other side's not saying anything, then yeah, people are going to fucking... Oh, God damn it. What is happening today? What is happening today, man? What the fuck? What is going on? What are these little blips over and over again? Anyway, when Democrats don't counter message, don't counter message against like the Republican lies on immigration, they leave too much. They literally leave too much on the table, and people become more reactionary on the issue of immigration, as Americans have. And then you arrive at like insane polling numbers, such as 60% of Americans are positive on mass deportation of migrants. Okay? It's crazy. Dude, you've said yourself that a random Democrat would win over Biden. Is it not a good idea that Kamala isn't presenting any policies then in order not to mess up their bonus? No, dude, absolutely not. A generic Democrat would win over Biden because a generic Democrat is associated with like the Democratic Party's policies. That's why I always say in the heartland of America, in the South, everywhere around this country, the most popular thing is a lifeless, faceless ballot measure that is the most progressive ballot measure you've ever seen, okay? Not associated with a Democrat at all. It's directly the policies that are popular, okay? No, you said a generic Democrat ticket, not a faceless person? Yes, when I say a generic Democrat ticket, I mean the Democratic Party's platform is popular. The Democratic Party's policies are popular. That's why I kept repeating over and over again that, like, I mean, I always said a generic Democrat polls better because people are obviously not frustrated with the Democratic Party in general. They're frustrated with Joe Biden, okay? That's it. Geldim anne. Anyway, let's continue.
Plain about injustice, but do something about it. Do something about it. That was my mother. And she taught us, and she also taught us, and never do anything half-assed. And that is a direct quote.
Harris acknowledging her unusual path to the top of the
Republicans have out-messaged them so hard on immigration. People's minds have been totally broken on the issue. Yeah, brother, I'm sorry, but like, that's an easy fix, especially because it's like literally a house of cards built on lies, okay? Democrats need to counter message against it. At the very least, they need to say, oh, they want to do mass deportations. Like, I've been begging, screaming from the rooftops for Democrats to be like, Republicans keep claiming that migrants are responsible for the fentanyl crisis in this country. Why do they keep saying that when 90% of the drugs coming over the southern border and every border in the United States of America are apprehended at regular points of entry? Why is that not something that they keep saying? Like, why is that just not a fact that they reiterate over and over again about the lies? The fact that 90% of fentanyl traffickers, 90% of all drug traffickers that are caught at the border are American citizens. I had this conversation with Ro Khanna. Why aren't they talking about the fact that America is a nation of migrants? This is like regular Democratic messaging. Always. We are all children of migrants. We all came here at a certain point, okay? We are all children of migrants in this country. That's what makes us great. It's one of the most beautiful aspects of America is that a person who has a mother who's Indian and a father who's Jamaican can come together and literally build a future for themselves. What are we talking about? She is literally the daughter of migrants. It makes no sense. Instead, they're literally pushing the same right-wing immigration bill that Republicans wrote. They should drop the border policy anyway. They should have dropped the border policy months ago. It blows my mind that they're still pushing that, like actively, a right-wing border bill. It is, and I have lost my voice screaming about this over and over again, about how stupid it is to actively run and try to outflank the Republican Party on the border. If the border is a problem, if people do see immigration as a problem, they're not going to vote for the Democrats. They're not going to vote for the Democrats to fix that problem. It is so stupid. They won't. Oh, here's Greg Kazar.
Everyday people. And I would support a bill that actually had that in it. But unfortunately, this current bill does not have something in it for everyday immigrant families that have been here.
My goat. He's saying exactly what I've been saying nonstop, by the way. Democrats at least used to push and pull. They would do compromise, right? On immigration, like Obama did. He did the Dreamer, but then he also deported a ton of migrants, right? But there was a compromise there. Now the compromise is gone. It's just a pure right-wing bill with nothing in return. Kamala Harris said she's going to work on amnesty. I haven't heard a single peep from her on this front. Hasan, use your brain. Remember, your words carry weight, and you have a lot of fans who are going to voting. Way too many people will continue to be in serious danger and worse in this country if your rhetoric results in another MAGA presidency. Dude, you are literally the stupidest person on the planet if you think a random Twitch streamer is capable of changing the outcome of this election and not like the Democratic Party itself. Okay, if I had this kind of juice and this kind of motion, Bernie Sanders would be president. That's number one. Number two, if I do have this kind of juice and this kind of motion, maybe the Democratic Party should listen to me. Okay, I don't, and that's why they do not listen to me. And even if I did, they would not listen to me regardless. But I don't. So you're just chirping at a random Twitch streamer, okay? We have 80 days. What do you... Okay.
Here 10, 20, 30 years. And so we're ready to compromise and push forward on something that can help people who are here. But unfortunately, our politics have been pushed so far to the right on immigration by Donald Trump that we have to fight back against Trump and try to realign our politics on immigration back to where they were just a few years ago so that we can actually send a bill to a President Harris's desk that actually meets what it is that she's laid out in her speech, which includes both security, but actually also taking care of the immigrant community and providing immigrants' rights.
And Greg, I mentioned in a segment earlier that it seems to me the Democratic Party, as you say, in shifting to the right on immigration, is really adopting a policy of a kinder, gentler form of mass deportation and militarization. You were recently traveled to South America, because I think what most Americans don't realize that the reductions in
He is wrong, though. Most of the chat doesn't vote. That's like, you guys are ridiculous, okay? You're silly. You're fantasizing about whatever you think this chat represents in your mind. This is a community that is incredibly focused on American politics, okay? We not only have people who vote, we have people who are literally community organizers, those who go out and engage in direct action, those who go out and engage in mutual aid. This is ridiculous. This is an objectively nerdy ass community in terms of politics. There are people in this. Dude, I went to the DNC, man. I went to the DNC. Thousands of people that are literally council members and mayors of random cities came up to me and said they were fans of mine. What the f are you talking about? Stop fantasizing about how this community doesn't vote. Shut the fuck. Yeah, they don't just vote. They also go out and literally become actual politicians. Okay, they participate. They become labor organizers. You're wrong. I don't know what more I can show you other than the fact that I was literally inside of the Democratic National Convention for 4 days and tens of thousands of people came up to me in that process. What the f are you talking about? Yelling louder doesn't make you right. Oh my God, I'm not just yelling louder because it's making me right. I am right. Objectively. Like, what more do you need to see? Listen to the words instead of just hyper focusing on the fact that I'm yelling, and you will understand that there's a 3-minute ad break coming for you right now. Okay? What is happening, dude? Community and past average of most chatters here. Yeah, there's like, brother, so are you a random Twitch streamer or a lefty powerhouse dog? No, dude. I am a random Twitch streamer. Okay? I do my very best, and I have a sizable community comprised of community organizers, people who definitely go out and vote, people who are paying close attention to politics. But that doesn't move the needle. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Because at the end of the fucking day, if the Democratic Party chooses to make bad decisions, for example, in terms of their campaigning, I can't change that trajectory by simply dick riding Kamala Harris and Tim Walz unconditionally, okay? Because I don't have that kind of power. I can't overcome multiple billions of dollars at this point of campaign financing, dude. What the fuck are you guys talking about? Be real. Be a goddamn adult about this, please. Hasmaz, not everyone is a fan of you, Hasan. Yeah, of course not everyone's a fan of me. I have plenty of fucking haters too. I'm just simply saying that, like, you saw so many people that are in the heart. Okay? So many people who are in the heart of the Democratic Party's like political machine. Being a noteworthy person there implies that, like, yeah, clearly there are people who are paying attention in this stream, many of which have like gone on to participate in the process in a more meaningful fashion than just simply voting too. I don't understand it. I don't understand what you guys do not hear when I say this. While I do have some semblance of influence, that does not move the fucking needle, okay? Like 2016, I was a Bernie bro. 2016, I saw the writing on the wall. I knew that Trump was going to be devastating. I said, vote for Clinton. I'm with her. I voted for Hillary Clinton reluctantly. Okay? But my advocacy for Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders' advocacy for Hillary Clinton, is not going to have the same impact as Hillary Clinton refusing to campaign in Wisconsin. Do you understand? Campaigns and the entirety of mainstream media focusing on campaigns is going to have a significantly larger impact on the outcome of an election than a random fucking Twitch streamer. Okay? And having said that, you guys want me to shut the fuck up about my criticisms, which is something I'm never going to do. Demonstrably, I am stubborn to a fault. So much so that my stubbornness and my advocacy got me fucking kicked out of the studio space that was given to me at the DNC. So it's additionally silly for you to be like, hey man, maybe you should dial back your criticisms because, you know, we're 70 days out. Like, I have no loyalty. Okay? I have no fealty to the Democratic Party. They should have fealty to you and to me as a voter. Okay? They should need to earn your vote. What happened between yesterday night and today for you to change the reason you got kicked out of the suite? Sorry for repeating the question. I'm a fan of you. Nothing changed. I literally said that it's either because it's chaotic. I'm sure maybe it's because it's chaotic and not because of what I said, versus it was always in between either or. Wait, you said you weren't so contentious? What do you mean? Stop arguing with libs. They only care about aesthetics right now. Your aesthetics are bad. Arguing won't change that. Why are my aesthetics bad?
Border crossings are largely a result of the U.S. pressuring Mexico and now Panama to basically shut down the transit routes of migrants coming up through Central America. Wondering your experience there and the sources of this continued flow of migrants.
Well, you know, the mainstream media focuses on immigration as if it's just a border issue. But immigration doesn't start at the border. It starts in people's home countries, economies that have been destabilized, democracies that have been destabilized. And so we've founded now in the Congress the Global Migration Caucus, where we're going to start talking about those issues that people don't want to talk about in Washington, D.C., how the United States' own policies contribute to mass displacement of people out of places like South America. And if we actually help people stay in their home countries, not force people out, then actually that'd be a humane and thoughtful way of reducing mass migration.
Feels great to have Diet Dr. Pepper again. Fuck me. Anyway, we haven't even gotten to the Gaza part of the equation yet, by the way, which is what's crazy. So let's continue with
the ticket. The path that led me here in recent weeks was no doubt unexpected.
Curious, you say Democrats should earn your vote, but if you actually ever withheld your vote or voted for a Republican, I would never vote for a Republican. My criticism of the Democratic Party is because of their closeness to the Republican Party on issues. Okay? My expectation from the Democratic Party, because I recognize the duopoly for what it is that they don't fucking capitulate to right-wing framing, that they don't advocate for right-wing bills. Okay? That they actually fight back. I will never vote for a Republican. That's why last night I said it over and over again, that liberals like Republicans more than they like progress. Liberals love Republicans. They want to be loved by Republicans. Okay? I did not get a chance to meet Summer Lee.
But I'm no stranger to unlikely journeys.
with her family watching proudly on. Harris speaking to the urgency of the moment.
Our nation with this election has a precious, fleeting opportunity to move past the bitterness, cynicism, and divisive battles of the past, a chance to chart a new way forward. Not as members of any one party or faction, but as Americans. And let me say, I know there are people of various political views watching tonight, and I want you to know, I promise to be a president for all Americans.
Harris arguing Donald Trump presents a danger to democracy.
In many ways, Donald Trump is an unserious man. But the consequences of putting Donald Trump back in the White House are extremely serious. Just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails.
The former prosecutor point by point laying out her case against Trump, saying he would put wealthy Americans ahead of the middle class and continue to endanger reproductive freedoms.
Simply put, they are out of their minds. One must ask, why exactly is it that they don't trust women? Well, we trust women. We trust women.
And on foreign policy, as the first female commander-in-chief, Harris vowing to stand up to dictators, not idolize them.
I will not cozy up to tyrants and dictators like Kim Jong-un who are rooting for Trump. As president, I will never waver in defense of America's security and ideals, because in the enduring struggle between democracy and tyranny,